We're going to start with England. Just over 48 hours to go now until they face Ukraine at Euro 2020 with a place in the semi-finals on the line. Our reporters are in place to bring us the very latest. Kaveh Solokol has just touched down in Rome. We'll be in Italy with him, where the tie will be played very shortly. And Jessica Crichton's at England's training complex once again for St George's Park, of course. And Jess, we're going to start with you. And we've heard from Jordan Pickford today, haven't we? He's just been speaking to the media. You were in that news conference. I mean, he's been such an integral part of the team. He's had a very good tournament too. What did he have to say?
Yeah, you're right. He's been a standout player, hasn't he? And this is the first time I've actually got to speak to Jordan Pickford during this tournament. And it was really interesting to get his thoughts, because there were questions about him coming into this tournament and what some might consider his inconsistent performances for Everton. But look at the crucial saves he's made throughout this tournament and of course, against Germany. And I asked him, what has made you so consistent? And he said, being in the moment. Remaining focused, even though there might not be a lot to do in this match. And it's obviously worked, hasn't it? Set 12 clean sheets now in his last 18 games for both club and country. Whilst he's very proud of that record, he actually says that it's a team effort. Let's hear from him.
Everyone's working hard to keep them clean sheets because, you know, tournament football, clean sheets are key. And to just give us a basis of keeping clean sheets will keep us progressing and give the lads up front the opportunity to go and score goals. It starts with Harry Kane up top. You know, the manager and Steve and the staff put out game plans for us to be ready, and for every hurdle we come across in the game, we need to be on our A game. If it's pressing, if we can't press, what's the next line? So we've got a lot of messages to take in, you know, as players, and when everyone's working together hard, there's no better feeling than keeping a clean sheet. But it's not just me, it's a full 11 and the lads who's coming off the bench as well. So it is a great team togetherness.
And Jess, hearing Pickford speak there, it strikes me we don't often hear him give news conferences, do we? And you know, therefore we don't know too much about him. People sometimes make assumptions about the sort of guy he is. Did you get an insight today into Jordan Pickford, the man, as it were?
You know what, Jules, I think I did. There's a calmness about Jordan Pickford these days. He's obviously has a personality. He's always seen as quite eccentric inside the England goal, but there's a maturity about him now. He's 27 years of age, of course came up through the Sunderland Academy, but went out on loan quite a lot before he made his home Everton, the likes of Darlington, Burton, and I think that's helped shape him into the man he is today. And also, he says the criticism that he has received throughout his career has actually made him a better person and a better player on the pitch as well. So it was really interesting to get his perspective on all of that, because as you say, you don't really hear that very often from him. And also, he said, a little bit of insight here, Jules, becoming a dad has helped him in his quest to become a better player on the pitch. Let's hear from him again.
Having a son definitely helps. You know, that changes your life, and yeah, definitely I feel I have changed. I'm 27 now, so playing a lot more football matches, and throughout your career, you know, the numbers start adding up, and every day is a learning curve. You learn something new, and on the training pitch, being at home, something's always learning. So I think that's the biggest factor for me. You're always up for criticism when you're an England player and when you're a professional footballer, really. And it's about just adapting yourself and maturing each day as a person and as a footballer, and becoming the best you can be, working hard off the pitch as well as on the pitch, and just getting the best out of you.
Yeah, brilliant to hear from Jordan Pickford today. In terms of England's schedule then, they had a closed training session today. No access to the media, so we didn't get eyes on it, but I would imagine that they're ramping up their preparations now. It's just 2 days out, isn't it, from that big game in the quarter-final in Rome. They'll be working on key tactics, formation and playing style. And then tomorrow, there'll be their final training session. That will be open to the media. We'll bring you that live on Sky Sports News before they fly to Rome. And I think that's where my colleague Kaveh Solokol is. What's the mood like there, Kaveh?
Yes, thank you very much for that, Jess. Well, look, the first thing the England squad are going to realise when they land in Rome in about 24 hours' time is just how hot it is here. It is 32 degrees today, and it is 6 p.m, still 32 degrees. Now, we're being told that by the time the game kicks off at 8 o'clock on Saturday night, it is going to be about 26 degrees at 8 p.m. in the Olympic Stadium. But look, let's not make too much of this. The England squad, they are professional footballers. They've played in hot conditions before, but it is going to be a bit different to what they're used to at St George's Park at the moment. Although, actually, it was very, very hot for the first group game against Croatia. So let's not make too much of the heat. Of course, it's July, we're in Italy, it's going to be hot. The second thing I think they'll notice when they step out at the Olympic Stadium is it's not going to feel like Wembley did on Tuesday against Germany, because the stadium is going to be three-quarters empty. There's only going to be about 16,000 supporters inside the ground, and there will be very few England supporters. The Italian authorities coming out today and saying, if you are in England and you're thinking about coming to this game, even if you have a ticket, do not come to Rome. Do not come. Even if you've got a ticket now, you will not get into the stadium because of the quarantine rules that are in place. We're expecting some England fans to be in the stadium on Saturday night, but they will predominantly be English expatriates who are living in Italy, or people who are living in neighbouring countries to Italy, England fans who've been able to come to Rome. And I think one other thing they'll notice actually when they touch down in Rome tomorrow is all the coronavirus restrictions that are in place in Italy at the moment. I mean, for me and my cameraman to get here, the amount of forms we had to fill in, we had to have a PCR test yesterday that cost £200. Up until midnight last night, we weren't absolutely sure whether we would be able to travel to Rome. And then once we got here a few hours ago, the amount of paperwork you have to fill in at the airport, the amount of checks. Even once we'd got out of Rome airport, the first thing that happened to us is we were stopped by two undercover police officers who wanted to check all our papers and our passports, and were asking us why we were in Rome and why we'd come here from London. So of course, that's not really going to affect the England players because they're going to be inside their own bubble. But they'll be landing here in 24 hours' time, going straight to their hotel. We've managed to have a look at their hotel, actually. Looks like a very nice hotel. It's in a more peaceful location than their central London hotel, so I think they'll like that. And of course, when they're here, they'll just be spending their time in the hotel and then at the stadium. And then after the game, hopefully, after they've beaten Ukraine, they'll be flying straight back to their base at St George's Park.
Positivity there, Carve. Already the chat's turned to, what 11 Southgate might put out for this game. Will he change it much from the Germany game? Now, so far, we've been spot on with predicting England teams, haven't we, in this tournament, which isn't always easy with Gareth Southgate. What's your feeling ahead of this one?
I think there's a real feeling around the England camp that Gareth Southgate may switch back to a 4-2-3-1 formation. Obviously, he went with three at the back just to match the way Germany were playing and also to nullify the threat from Germany's wing backs. I don't think that will be the same against Ukraine. Ukraine are not as good a side as Germany, although I don't think this will be an easy game at all. Ukraine, I think, are ranked 24 in the world. They play a 3-4-3 formation, and they will be very dangerous on the break. But the feeling is that England may well switch back to a 4-2-3-1, which would see one of the right-sided defenders dropping out, somebody perhaps like Kieran Trippier or Kyle Walker, and then we would see Mason Mount coming back into the side, because of course he has been back training with the rest of the squad. But I have to say, England supporters and the England players have to be very, very careful not to underestimate Ukraine. I remember, for instance, in Italy in 1990, people were underestimating Cameroon. They thought that was going to be a very easy game. We all know how that turned out. 5 years ago in France, people were underestimating Iceland. We all know how that turned out. So look, I don't think anybody in the England squad will be underestimating Ukraine, but if any supporters are thinking that this is going to be easy, I'm just going to warn you that this could be another very, very difficult, cagey game. And you should not underestimate Ukraine, because they've got some very, very good players and they've got a very good manager.
Busy in Rome this evening. Thank you very much indeed.